Shalom, Kahal Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Kodash, double honors to the elder apostles of Jehovah, including the elders that came before them, and the elder bishops as well, Salakia. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing word of truth and its sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. All right, so this is just going to be a quick lesson in that it's on and cracking. All right, these people, they don't understand the bear, and the title of this lesson is going to be The Bear is a Honey Badger. Okay, because that's what this guy, Scott Ritter, is going to say. This guy knows a little bit about war and what's going on in the theater of war. He knows a bit about Russia. Okay, I believe he's over there in the Ukraine right now, or he's either in Russia or in the Ukraine. But the name of this Scott Ritter News yesterday, Russia doesn't care. All right, we're going to listen to a little bit of his perspective on what is going on. First, let's get a precept. Okay, let's get I will stir. Okay. Now, if you don't know by now, this war is about Russia and Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon. Okay. Isaiah 13:17, Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Meaning they don't give a fuck. The Medes are the Russians. Them is the Babylonians here, or the Americans. I is the Most High. So it says, look, see, I, the Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shai, will stir up, right? Rouse up the Medes, the Russians, against them, Babylon. Look, I will stir up the Medes against Babylon. Most High. I, the Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shai, will rouse up the Russians against the Americans. And they don't give a fuck about nothing. All right? Now we're going to listen to this guy say the same thing. It's going to be a short lesson. Here's what's coming down the pike after yesterday's hasty debacle in blowing up the pipeline. And this isn't even about that. This is just about the spirit that's on Russia right now. And we'll find out where that spirit is coming from. So let's listen.
Russia will incorporate them. And then it's Mother Russia in whether Bulgaria, Romania, Poland, NATO, Europe, the United States say we don't recognize it. Russia doesn't care. I oftentimes bring this up just tongue in cheek, but it's true. There's a meme here in the United States about the honey badger. And the honey badger is, of course, a North American mammal, very, very stubborn and aggressive. And it shows the honey badger, and honey badger don't care. Honey badger don't care about you, me, nothing. Honey badger does what the honey badger wants to do. Russia, we call it the bear. I'm calling it the honey badger. Russia don't care. Russia's going to incorporate it, call it Mother Russia, and treat anybody accordingly who fails to recognize that. Russia doesn't care if you don't recognize Kherson as Mother Russia. If you attack Kherson, you're attacking Mother Russia, and you will be treated accordingly. This is the new reality. So we start with the notion that this is a war that Russia didn't want, Russia didn't ask for, but it was forced on Russia. It was a war that began in 2014 with the coup, continued for 8 years. People tend to forget that the Ukrainians were pounding Donbass with artillery, killing tens of thousands of residents of that territory. A Ukrainian president, Poroshenko, bragged about how Ukrainian children would be going to school while the children in the Donbass would be hiding in a basement. It's a war crime. It's a war crime. Same president, Poroshenko, brags about how the Minsk peace process was never meant to be real. Ukraine was simply using it as a vehicle to buy time so that NATO could train a Ukrainian army capable of conquering the Donbass. This is the reality. This is the reality that Russia deals with, the West ignores, but it's what led to the special military operation. Special military operation is just that, a special military operation. It is not war. Let's just put some definitions straight. If it was war, it'd be over by now. Because if it was war, Russia would have gone in full hog. Doctrinally, well, first of all, I think what we'll see when we talk about phase one of the special military operation that the Secret Services were involved. But one thing that people don't respect about Russia, and again, I'm not putting Russia on a pedestal. I'm not. But the Russians are a nation founded in law. You could say that this goes back to Soviet times. There's a book written by a guy named Merle Feinsod about Smolensk, about the Soviet rule in Smolensk, and it was derived from files that were captured by the Germans when they invaded. They captured the local Communist Party files, and afterwards the files were transferred to the United States. And Merle Feinsod was able to go through it and wrote this book, and it's a horrible book. It's about basically the oppression of the people of Smolensk by Soviet authorities and mass murder, etc. But the one thing that you're struck about reading this book is that everything was done legally. It wasn't that the Cheka or the NKVD came in and just wantonly murdered people. No, they arrested you. Then they put you on trial. You had to sign confessions. Everything was documented. Everything was recorded because the law had to be complied with. In Russia, I'm not trying to say that Russia is the same as Soviet times. I'm saying that Russia is about the law. There are things they can do. There's things they can't do. And it has to be done procedurally and documented. Russia made a decision. And I'll also say this, they keep talking about Vladimir Putin as being this, autocratic dictator-like figure who is impulsive and he just does whatever. I mean, Vlad wakes up in the morning, decides to invade Ukraine, and he invades Ukraine. It doesn't work that way. Vladimir Putin is the executive authority, elected, by the way, through a democratic process, of a nation, the Russian nation, that is a body of laws. I'm not going to get too far ahead, but the special military, or the limited mobilization, partial mobilization that was announced by Putin, the laws cited were all written in the 1990s before Putin became president. So it's not like Putin's waking up going, I'm going to make this up as I go along, guys. It's Russian law. It's Russian policy. Right. Well, in order to understand what Russia's doing now, though, we have to go back to, again, first principles of the special military operation. What was it? It wasn't an invasion of Ukraine. Special military operation is military action authorized under Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. It speaks of self-defense.
While most Americans know that your credit score influences loan rates and your eligibility to rent or buy.
Slovakia.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the
gosh.
Midas Touch Network, and this is a breaking news alert from the special master proceedings before Judge Raymond Deary arising out of.
Slovakia, that one kind of got away.
If you attack Kherson, you're attacking Mother Russia, and you will be treated accordingly. This is the new reality. So we start with the notion that this is a war that Russia didn't want, Russia didn't ask for, but it was forced on Russia. It was a war that began in 2014 with the coup, continued for 8 years. People tend to forget that the Ukrainians were pounding Donbass with artillery, killing tens of thousands of residents of that territory. A Ukrainian president, Poroshenko, bragged about how Ukrainian children would be going to school while the children in the Donbass would be hiding in a basement. It's a war crime. It's a war crime. Same president, Poroshenko, brags about how the Minsk peace process was never meant to be real. That Ukraine was simply using it as a vehicle to buy time so that NATO could train a Ukrainian army capable of conquering the Donbass.
So basically what's going on is this guy understands the whole situation, all right, and has been watching it as an analyst of sorts, a war analyst. He used to work in the State Department. He's actually in. He was a not exactly what rank he made it to, but he was in the military as an analyst, so he knows what he's saying. All right, and basically, Russia doesn't care. All right, and this video was created before the news of the pipeline debacle came out. So this is preliminary. What is about to happen right now? What is Vlad about to do? Okay, let me see if this. Let's see, Salakia, bear with me real quick. Let me see if this guy is still talking, because this is live right now. Bear with me.
Story. And we had to tread very lightly because this is what could get you into trouble back, in the early days of the vaccine and the rollout on YouTube, right? And we were hearing from women. There was a study that was saying that this was happening. It was actually a small scale. I don't think it was a study. It was
probably have to involve oil and gas. The Russian economy is vulnerable. 80% of Russian exports are in oil, gas, and minerals. People say, well, the Europeans will run out of energy. Well, the Russians will run out of cash before the Europeans run out of energy. And I understand that it's uncomfortable to have an effect on business ties in this way. But this is one of the few instruments that we have. Over the long run, you simply want to change the structure of energy dependence. You want to depend more on the North American energy platform, the tremendous bounty of oil and gas that we're finding in North America. You want to have pipelines that don't go through Ukraine and Russia. For years, we've tried to get the Europeans to be interested in different pipeline routes. It's time to do that.
Okay, so do you see what's going on? Why was the pipeline destroyed? Let's get into that real quick.
this out. They had an investigation.
And this is redacted. It's live right now. I'm just going back because I saw him talking about. Holy shit, the WEF is getting desperate as Putin readies for attack. Okay, watch a little bit of it.
What submarines were in the area at the time? Who was on board? What were they doing there? You just happened to be swimming by, like right by the pipeline at the time?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are logs.
Like, what were you guys doing on the night of September 26th, 2022? Where were you guys? Where were your nuclear submarines at that time? Where were your special drones, the underwater drone technology that we're using? I'm sure they'll get a straight answer out of it. Germany, though, is furious this morning. German officials are saying it was an act of sabotage. They're not pulling any punches. Before the terrorism attack, German officials were calling on German citizens were calling on their government to turn on Nord Stream 2. Literally 24 hours before this attack, thousands were taking to the street demanding the launch of Nord Stream 2, calling on their government to turn it on. We are going to freeze. We don't have firewood. We don't have any other way to heat our home right now. Turn it on. Stop playing politics with our lives.
Now they don't have a choice. That choice has been taken away from them.
It's really, really tragic. You know, like people at home want to just say, "Oh, good." See people on Twitter like, "Yeah, way to stick it to the Russians." Like, do you understand anything? Like,
I mean,
you're
Well,
sticking
wasn't
it
the
to?
Polish
We
prime
did-
minister or whatever that said
we
thank
did-
you America or something?
Right.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did collectively agree that the Gulf oil leak was bad, right?
Gulf
So-
of Mexico.
Yeah. Should we not collectively agree that this is equally as bad? Even if you take the politics out of it, right? Sea life will die there. This will disrupt an entire ecosystem just for political gain, for whoever.
Well, and that's methane.
Yeah.
Methane going into the atmosphere.
Yeah,
Right.
so awful, right? That's the thing we keep hearing about, like what cow farts and everything else. Like, that's killing us.
Right.
Right now, you literally have a massive explosion of it. And by the way, that gas line was filled. That was filled to capacity.
Probably more methane than whatever was taken away from the Dutch farmers, right?
Well, and the
Equal
video doesn't
amounts
really do
now.
it justice
Great point. Yeah.
because I believe they said that that's a 2-mile radius. I believe that you're seeing there where you see those
Wow.
bubbles. Like it looks small on video, but that's 2 miles.
I know it's hard to see it with scale, right? Because it's in the middle of the
Mhm.
ocean, right? But yes, it's massive, massive. So
Was
Germany.
Philip going to say something? I thought I heard Philip talking. No?
No, something just went weird on me for a second. I didn't say anything though.
Okay, sorry.
So Germany is pointing fingers right where it belongs today. This German citizens, German newspapers coming out, they're pointing the fingers right where it belongs at the United States.
Oops.
The United States has been telling us for months that they've been planning to do this. They plan to take it out, right? Here, they plan to take out the pipelines. They plan to attack the pipelines, get rid of them. They're gone. I mean, here's evil incarnate, Victoria Nuland. Remember, she is the one that led the coup in Ukraine under President Obama. She overthrew the government to install the puppet regime. Here she is telling us what the United States will do to this pipeline.
With regard to Nord Stream 2, we continue to have very strong and clear conversations with our German allies, and I want to be clear with you today. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
Okay, so thank you for giving us that clear indication. Also, we heard from President Biden said the exact same thing. So they've told us they plan to do this, right? And remember, Victoria Nuland, of course, was the person who told the EU to go F themselves. You remember this, of course. This comes a few years after the Obama administration was caught bugging and eavesdropping on German officials, specifically the Chancellor Angela Merkel. But of course, remember at the time when her phone was bugged for 11 years by the United States. And then the United States had to apologize for it. Victoria Nuland had to apologize for telling the EU to go F themselves as it relates to putting a puppet regime inside of Ukraine, which could adversely affect Europe. She said, F the EU. Screw the EU. Then, of course, Angela Merkel fired back and said those remarks are unacceptable. And so what you're basically saying is you intend to screw the European Union, you intend to screw Germany by what you're doing in Ukraine.
Yep.
Okay, so that's good enough. So what's going on over here? Well, what we see prophecy unfold. And let's get a couple of scriptures and we'll go ahead and close out. Why is the honey badger bear about to shut everything down? All right. And again, these same scriptures just got to come out right now. All right. We've been predicting or foretelling what was going to go on now for years, but now we see it. This is that war. I've been speaking on the war for years, even though it was an unpopular thing 5 years ago. Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart is a waterway in the hand of the Lord. He directs it where he pleases. Let's get a King James. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord like the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. And in the NIV, what is this? Good news. The Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, controls the mind of the king. Mind control. Yahweh Shem Yahushai controls the mind of King Vladimir Putin. The honey badger bear. And honey badger, Vlad, don't care. Okay? Russia doesn't care. All right? So as the war escalates, Russia don't care. And everybody's going to, not just Vlad, all right? The Most High is going to turn the whole EU on the daughter of Babylon. All right, which I'll save that for tomorrow. We'll go into that tomorrow. So we'll go ahead and cut it right here. We hope that the elect were edified, you brother and few sisters. With that, we can say shalom.